Did you know that while most people believe they'll live well beyond 90, a staggering 85% of seniors actually pass away before their 82nd birthday? It's not genetics or bad luck causing this early decline, but rather a series of common mistakes that many seniors unknowingly make every single day. What if I told you that by simply avoiding these everyday errors, you could potentially add 10 to 15 quality years to your life? It's not about miracle pills or expensive treatments. It's about small changes in habits and mindset that can truly transform your health and well-being. Now, I know it might sound too good to be true, but I want you to stay with me because what you're about to hear could mean the difference between celebrating your 90th birthday with vigor and becoming another statistic of preventable health decline. Over the next few minutes, I'll introduce you to 5 deadly mistakes that are stealing precious years from many seniors, often without them realizing it. I'll also share the simple steps that can reverse these mistakes and help you live not just longer, but better. It's easy to assume that as we age, certain health problems are inevitable, but I'm here to tell you that's simply not the case. These are issues that can be addressed, reversed, and prevented with the right knowledge and action. So, whether you've noticed subtle changes in your health or you're just looking to be proactive, stick with me until the end, because the life-changing insights I'm about to share could dramatically change how you approach aging and your future. So, let's dive into the first deadly mistake that many seniors unknowingly make: the medication multiplication trap. You may think that managing multiple medications is just a normal part of aging, but the truth is, this can be one of the most dangerous habits that can significantly shorten your life. Let me tell you a story of John, a 74-year-old man who had been taking pills for high blood pressure, cholesterol, arthritis, and sleep issues. He thought he was doing everything right, following his doctor's orders to the letter. But after a routine checkup, he was shocked to learn that he had been unknowingly overdosing on certain medications, leading to dangerous internal bleeding and a weakened immune system. He didn't feel sick, but his body was silently suffering. According to research from Johns Hopkins, taking 5 or more medications increases your risk of death by a staggering 88%. This is not just about individual pills. It's the dangerous way they interact in your body that creates a ticking time bomb. The problem lies in how one medication can have a ripple effect on your body, leading to the need for more medications to treat the side effects. For example, Dorothy had been prescribed 2 different blood thinners by 2 separate doctors, neither of whom knew about the other's prescription. Add in an over-the-counter pain reliever, and she was on the brink of life-threatening internal bleeding. Unfortunately, this is far more common than you might think. In fact, studies show that nearly 70% of older adults are prescribed medications that they don't really need, or worse, medications that could be replaced by safer, non-pharmaceutical alternatives. The real solution to this issue isn't about just stopping your medications. It's about a comprehensive, carefully planned medication review. Dorothy did just that. She took the time to create a master list of every medication, including supplements that she was taking. She scheduled quarterly reviews with her pharmacist, insisted that all her doctors communicated with each other before prescribing any new medication, and, most importantly, she questioned every new prescription. Is this replacing something else or adding to it? The results were astounding. Within 6 months, she had safely reduced her medications from 12 to just 5, all under the supervision of her healthcare team. Her energy levels improved, her mental clarity returned, and many of her so-called health problems vanished. What she realized was that many of her symptoms were actually side effects of the medication she had been taking, not new conditions. Her joint pain, for example, was a side effect of the cholesterol medication, and her insomnia was actually caused by her blood pressure medication taken too late in the day. Dorothy's story is a powerful reminder that our medications should never be taken at face value. If you haven't reviewed your medication list with a healthcare provider recently, now is the time to do so. It's vital to ask questions about every medication you take. Are they truly necessary? Are they interacting with each other in harmful ways? Is there a non-drug alternative that could work? You might be surprised to learn how much better you could feel simply by making a few adjustments. Now, I understand this can feel overwhelming, especially when you're trying to keep track of multiple prescriptions, but it's worth the effort. Your health and your future depend on it. So take a moment to think about your own medications. When was the last time you had a thorough review with your doctor or pharmacist? Have you noticed any unusual side effects? I encourage you to act today, because eliminating the medication multiplication trap could be the first step toward reclaiming your health and potentially adding years to your life. Now, let's move on to the second deadly mistake: the invisible poison in your pantry. You might not realize it, but the foods you think are healthy could actually be accelerating your aging process and speeding up inflammation in your body. Many seniors, especially those living on their own, often rely on packaged foods that appear to be good for you, but are filled with hidden sugars, artificial sweeteners, and preservatives that can wreak havoc on your health. To better understand this, let's look at Linda, a 68-year-old woman who lives alone in a small apartment. She considered herself to be careful about what she ate. She stocked up on whole-grain cereals, sugar-free drinks, and low-fat snacks. But after feeling more sluggish and gaining weight, she finally decided to check the labels of some of her favorite foods. To her shock, she discovered that the whole grain bread she was eating was packed with high-fructose corn syrup, and the so-called sugar-free drinks contained aspartame, a chemical linked to increased stroke risk in seniors. Even more alarming, many of her snacks had hidden sugars that were triggering insulin spikes, pushing her toward the early stages of diabetes. Research shows that processed foods, especially those that are labeled as low-fat or sugar-free, are often loaded with hidden sugars and artificial ingredients. According to a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, consuming foods high in processed sugars and refined carbs can lead to insulin resistance, which is a major risk factor for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. The hidden sugars in these foods can also trigger chronic inflammation, which is a leading cause of arthritis, joint pain, and other age-related conditions. And it doesn't stop there. These foods can lead to dehydration, something many older adults don't realize is a serious issue. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes, and many seniors mistake thirst for hunger. This often results in drinking too little water throughout the day, which can lead to kidney problems, confusion, and even falls. In Linda's case, she was only drinking 2 to 3 glasses of water a day while regularly consuming caffeine and alcohol, both of which dehydrate the body. But once she made a few changes, everything started to improve. Linda began by following the 555 rule: 5 ingredients or less in any packaged food, 5 glasses of water by 5 p.m., and 5 different colored fruits and vegetables daily. She replaced her sugary drinks with herbal teas and infused water, and swapped her processed snacks for healthier options, like nuts, seeds, and fresh fruits. She also started making her own meals from scratch, using fresh, whole ingredients. Within just 4 months, Linda reversed her pre-diabetes, lost the extra weight, and her energy levels skyrocketed. Her skin looked healthier, her joint pain decreased, and her kidney function improved dramatically. And the best part? Her grocery bills went down by 30% since she stopped buying expensive processed foods and started cooking more at home. This is a great reminder that small changes in your diet can have a big impact on your health and well-being. If you're someone who relies on packaged foods, take a moment to look at the labels. Are there hidden sugars, artificial sweeteners, or preservatives in what you're eating? And more importantly, are you staying hydrated enough throughout the day? If you're drinking less than 5 glasses of water, it's time to start prioritizing hydration. You might be surprised by the difference it makes in how you feel. You don't have to make drastic changes all at once. Just start by swapping out 1 or 2 processed foods for healthier options, and work on getting more water into your daily routine. Your body will thank you, and your future self will be grateful for the steps you take today to protect your health and increase your quality of life in the years to come. So, check your pantry, assess your food choices, and start making those small, life-changing adjustments today. Next, let's talk about the third deadly mistake that many seniors unknowingly make: the mobility mindset death spiral. It's so common for seniors to think that the best way to stay safe is to limit physical activity. After all, avoiding risky movements can prevent falls, right? But here's the harsh truth: limiting movement doesn't keep you safe. It actually makes you more vulnerable to falling. Now, let me introduce you to Tom, a 71-year-old man who had been active all his life. He played tennis regularly and loved to go on long walks around his neighborhood. But after a minor fall, Tom became terrified of falling again. He started avoiding stairs, walking with a cane even on flat ground, and gradually stopped going outside as much. He thought he was being careful, but as a result, his muscles weakened, his balance deteriorated, and his mobility declined rapidly. Within months, Tom found himself struggling to get out of a chair without help and barely able to walk across the room without feeling exhausted. What Tom didn't realize is that avoiding movement was accelerating his physical decline. Studies have shown that seniors who limit their physical activity out of fear of falling are actually 3 times more likely to fall within a year. This is because inactivity leads to muscle weakness, poor balance, and a decline in coordination, all of which make a fall even more likely. Even worse, for each week of inactivity, seniors can lose up to 6 months of muscle strength, which means that the longer you avoid moving, the more your body will decline. This fear-driven restriction of movement is a vicious cycle. The more you avoid exercise and activity, the more your muscles weaken, your bones become brittle, and your risk of falling increases. And once you do fall, it becomes harder to recover. But here's the good news: you can break this cycle. Tom eventually realized that his fear of falling was making him more fragile, not safer. He decided to take small, manageable steps to regain his strength and confidence. His first step was to start with simple balance exercises, like standing on one foot while brushing his teeth. Then he began incorporating strength-building movements, like sitting and standing from a chair without using his hands, and gentle toe touches before bed to improve flexibility. It was tough at first. Tom struggled to balance for even 5 seconds during the first week, but by the 4th week, he was balancing for 30 seconds without support. By the 12th week, he was doing single-leg squats. The progress was slow, but it was real. With each week, Tom felt stronger, more stable, and more confident. By the 24th week, he was hiking with his grandchildren, something he hadn't been able to do for months. The key to Tom's transformation was shifting his mindset. Instead of fearing movement, he embraced it as a way to build strength and improve his balance. He started seeing each physical challenge, whether it was climbing stairs or walking on uneven terrain, not as a risk, but as an opportunity to strengthen his body and mind. This shift in perspective was a game changer. Tom wasn't just avoiding movement to stay safe anymore. He was actively working to improve his strength and mobility, which ultimately made him less likely to fall. In fact, research shows that seniors who engage in functional fitness, exercises that mimic everyday activities, are less likely to suffer falls and recover better if they do fall. Functional fitness includes activities like carrying groceries, practicing getting up from the floor, and walking on different surfaces to improve balance. Tom even joined a senior fitness class, where he was able to stay motivated and socially connected. And the best part, he discovered that muscles can grow at any age. Studies have shown that seniors can double their strength in as little as 12 weeks through regular strength training. At 71, Tom was able to achieve physical milestones he had never thought possible. He was lifting heavier weights, walking without pain, and, most importantly, living without fear. Instead of fearing falls, Tom now embraces physical challenges. He takes stairs when they're available, uses the railing for support, and practices standing on one leg while cooking. He even started dancing to improve his coordination and joy. Today, Tom deadlifts 50 pounds and is more active than ever before. His bone density improved, and he hasn't fallen in over a year. The mental shift has been just as significant as the physical improvements. By deciding to confront his fears and challenge his body, Tom not only regained his strength, but also his confidence. So if you've been avoiding physical activity out of fear of falling or getting hurt, I encourage you to rethink that mindset. Start with small, safe exercises that challenge your balance and strength. Remember, your muscles and bones can get stronger at any age. The key is to keep moving. Even simple activities like standing up from a sea hare, walking around the block, or practicing balance exercises in your living room can make a huge difference. And as you regain your strength, you'll find that your fear of falling begins to melt away. Instead of fearing your body's decline, you'll be empowered to face every challenge with confidence. What's one activity you've stopped doing because of fear? Start small, take that first step, and watch your body and your life transform. Let's now discuss the fourth deadly mistake that many seniors unknowingly make: social isolation. As we get older, it's easy to retreat into our homes and avoid social interactions. For some, it's because they feel like they're a burden to others. For others, it's simply a habit that develops after retirement, when the daily routine of work and social obligations fades away. But the truth is, social isolation is one of the most dangerous things you can do to your health, and it's something many older adults don't realize until it's too late. To better understand this, let's look at Paul, a 78-year-old retiree who had always been independent and self-sufficient. After his wife passed away 2 years ago, Paul's social life gradually started to shrink. He found himself spending more time alone, watching TV for hours, and rarely leaving his home except for occasional trips to the grocery store. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal. He enjoyed the peace and quiet and figured he could always catch up with his friends later. But over time, Paul began to notice subtle changes in his mood and health. He became more forgetful, started feeling down most days, and even had trouble remembering whether he had taken his medication. One day, after forgetting what day it was, he realized just how much his isolation was affecting him. Paul didn't know it at the time, but social isolation is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. According to a study from the National Institute on Aging, seniors who are socially isolated are at a 50% increased risk of dementia and a 30% increased risk of premature death. In fact, loneliness has been linked to higher rates of depression, weakened immune systems, and even an increased risk of heart disease. When you don't interact with others, you stop exercising your brain, which can lead to cognitive decline. The lack of social connection also makes it harder to stay motivated to take care of your physical health. That's exactly what Paul experienced. The less he interacted with people, the more he neglected his own well-being. But here's the good news: social isolation can be reversed. Paul's turning point came when his daughter visited and found him sitting in front of the TV, looking more withdrawn than usual. She could see the toll that isolation was taking on him, both mentally and physically. She encouraged him to reconnect with his old friends and family and helped him join a local senior activity group. At first, Paul was hesitant. He didn't feel like he had the energy or the motivation to get out of the house. But once he attended a few activities, everything started to change. Paul joined a weekly coffee meetup with neighbors, and before long, he was attending game nights, joining group walks in the park, and even volunteering at a local charity. His mood started to improve, his memory became sharper, and he felt more energized. In just a few months, Paul's health had improved dramatically. He wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. And the best part, his blood pressure dropped, and he even lost a few pounds just by being more active in social settings. The key takeaway here is simple. Strong social connections are critical to your health and longevity. If you feel isolated or disconnected from others, it's time to make a change. Social interaction doesn't have to be difficult or overwhelming. Start by reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, or join a group activity that interests you. It could be anything from a book club to a volunteer group, or even just a coffee gathering with neighbors. Studies show that quality matters more than quantity when it comes to social relationships. Having a few close friends who you talk to regularly can be far more beneficial than having a large number of casual acquaintances. And it's never too late to start building these connections. As Paul discovered, the simple act of engaging with others not only brought back his sense of purpose, but also improved his mental and physical health in ways he never imagined. If you've been spending a lot of time alone lately, I encourage you to reach out and connect with someone today. It's not just good for your mind and body. It can also reignite your sense of joy and fulfillment in life. Whether it's calling a friend, signing up for a local event, or simply going for a walk and saying hello to a neighbor, every small step toward social connection counts. Your health, happiness, and longevity depend on it. So take that first step. Start building meaningful connections and see the difference it can make in your life. You might just be surprised at how much better you feel when you share your life with others. Finally, let's talk about the fifth deadly mistake, the memory myth massacre. Many seniors believe that forgetfulness and memory loss are just a normal part of aging. It's easy to accept this as inevitable, but doing so can actually make things worse. Let me share the story of Linda, a 72-year-old woman who had always prided herself on being mentally sharp. She had worked as an accountant for decades, balancing numbers and managing complex tasks without breaking a sweat. But over the years, Linda started to notice small memory lapses. She'd forget names, misplace her keys, or struggle to recall details from conversations. At first, she brushed it off as normal aging. After all, she was in her 70s. But one afternoon, Linda was at the grocery store, and when she was reaching for her usual brand of bread, she suddenly couldn't remember what brand she liked. She stood there for several minutes, feeling frustrated and confused, before settling on something she didn't even recognize. That's when it hit her. Her memory wasn't just slipping, it was deteriorating. Linda convinced herself that it was just part of growing older, but what she didn't realize was that accepting memory loss as normal can actually accelerate cognitive decline. Studies have shown that seniors who don't challenge their memory or who assume that forgetfulness is a part of aging are at a 60% higher risk of developing dementia. The brain is not destined to lose its abilities just because we get older. In fact, it's the opposite. Our brains have the ability to rewire themselves and create new connections at any age, a process known as neuroplasticity. But Linda had stopped challenging herself. She stopped learning new things, and she didn't realize that by doing so, she was allowing her brain to shrink. Research from the Alzheimer's Association shows that mental exercises, like learning new skills, reading challenging books, or playing memory-boosting games, can actually prevent cognitive decline and improve memory. Linda's turning point came when she attended a lecture about brain health and memory. The speaker, a neurologist, talked about the power of neuroplasticity and how we can build a cognitive reserve to protect our brains against decline. Inspired, Linda decided to take action. She started by downloading a brain training app and spent just 15 minutes a day working on memory exercises. She also began learning Spanish, a language she had always wanted to speak, and committed to reading one new book every month. But the most significant change came when Linda added physical exercise to her routine. She started walking every morning, which research has shown boosts brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a protein that helps brain cells grow and survive. Linda also took up dancing, which not only challenged her memory but also improved her balance, coordination, and overall health. Within months, Linda started noticing dramatic improvements in her memory. She could remember names again, follow conversations without missing details, and even recall specific facts from books she had read. Her brain felt sharper, and she was more confident in her abilities. Most importantly, Linda realized that her brain was not a fixed entity. It was a muscle that could grow stronger with effort and dedication, just like any other part of her body. This is a critical lesson for all seniors. Never stop challenging your brain. It's easy to fall into the trap of assuming that memory loss is just a part of aging. But the truth is, the brain can stay sharp well into your 80s, 90s, and beyond. The key is to keep learning, keep exercising your brain, and keep pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. If you've noticed memory lapses, don't just accept them. Start doing things that challenge your brain, whether it's learning a new skill, picking up a hobby, or even just engaging in conversations that make you think. Don't be afraid to try something new, even if it feels intimidating at first. Your brain thrives on new challenges, and every effort you make will help protect it from decline. Linda's story is proof that it's never too late to start taking care of your brain. Even small daily actions can lead to significant improvements over time. So what new skill or activity have you been putting off? Take that first step today and watch how your memory and your entire life can transform. It's time to stop believing in the memory myth and start taking charge of your mental health. Your future self will thank you for it. In conclusion, these 5 deadly mistakes are not just things we should be aware of. They are opportunities for us to take charge of our health, regain control, and live our best lives as we age. Whether it's rethinking our medications, eliminating hidden dangers from our diet, challenging our fears around physical activity, reconnecting with others, or keeping our minds sharp, the power to improve our lives is in our hands. It's never too late to make changes, and by making small adjustments today, you could add not only years to your life, but life to your years. So I encourage you to take the first step toward a healthier, more vibrant future. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone who could benefit from this information. Comment below with one action you're going to take today to improve your health, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another life-changing video. I'll be back with more tips, insights, and inspiration to help you live a long, healthy, and fulfilling life. See you in the next video.